Jai. Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaja ki Jai. Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaja ki Jai. Srila Gour... Why did it end so quickly? Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaja ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Gurudeva ki Jai. Go Premanande. So today is the appearance day of Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Asatala Sata Sri Simad Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj. That's not, this is not working. Yeah, it's out of battery. The battery is dead. So
It was working just fine 5 minutes ago. I think it's just the battery.
I'm going to tell, all right, everyone just sit down. Don't worry about it. Just leave it. I'm going to tell some stories about the life and pastimes of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. I was blessed by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to live with Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj for 3 years in Bhubaneswar. We lived together in a small mud hut, and I spent the entire time serving Srila Prabhupada with him, and I got to learn of many intimate details of his life and his activities. And so I wanted to tell some of the stories today for all the devotees so they could see and hear about the glories of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. So, okay, now we have the microphone as well. So I'm going to begin. What happened? Hello? I'm going to begin by talking about his birth. He was born in 1929 in Jagannathpur, a small village near Jagannath Puri, and his name was Brajbandhu Manik. He was born into a very great devotional family. The devotional family was very exalted. He lived in this village with his, he moved from Jagannathpur, where he was born, to Gadaigiri, where his deity of Gopal lived. This deity is a very special deity. What happened was that Jagannathpur was built by a very wealthy merchant, and his sons moved in and around the area, and one of them lived in Gadaigiri. And his son used to be the treasurer at the Jagannath Puri temple. And he would pray to Lord Jagannath every day that he wanted a Gopal deity to worship. So what happened was there was one Babaji in Vrindavan, and this Babaji used to worship this Gopal deity. He was very elderly. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj's uh, this elderly Babaji, he was told in a dream one night that Gopal came to him, his deity came to him with, in the mood of a cowherd boy. And he told him, he said, look, you're getting very elderly. You're not going to be able to worship me for much longer. I want my worship to continue after you leave this world. So I want you to take me to Jagannath Puri and give me to one man there who is from the Manik family, and have him worship me from now on. He's the secretary. He's the treasurer at the Jagannath Puri temple. So what happened was, this Babaji didn't believe the dream. He thought, what kind of instruction is this my Gopal is giving me? He doesn't want me to worship him anymore. So he got very upset. So what he said, he didn't do anything. He didn't prepare to leave. So the next night, Gopal comes to him again with his cowherd stick. He said, hey, Baba, I told you to take me to Puri. Why you don't take me to Puri? And he hit him on the legs. And he said, take me to Puri immediately. So when the Babaji woke up, he had all these marks on his legs. Then he understood, oh, Gopal has really come. He wants me to go immediately. So I have to go. So then what happened was, he goes to Puri, he finds that treasure, and he gives him the deity, tells him that Gopal said that you wanted him you wanted to take care of him, you wanted to worship him. I'm very elderly now. I may leave this world soon, so I'm giving Gopal to you. So the man was very, very happy. Then the Babaji told him, I had another dream on the way here when I was traveling. Gopal told me that if you touch my legs, then all the marks on my legs that he put there with the cowherd stick will go away. So then the man touched his legs and all the marks went away.
Evil.
So very, very auspicious deity. And that deity, the treasurer, the son of the merchant, he said, look, let's go to my village. I'll build a small temple and you be the pujari and take care of Gopal. And so that Babaji became the first pujari. He taught them how he was worshiping Gopal, and then that worship continued after the Babaji left this world. So then, later on, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaja's mother was born in that family. And so this was the mother that he had, who was born in such a great family, that they had this great deity. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaja's father was a great Kirtaniya, and both of them were initiated in the line from Raghunandan Acharya, who was the disciple of Shamananda Prabhu, one of the Trayi Goswamis. And so they were initiated in the Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings. And his father used to be part of a Sankirtan, a Kirtan group. And the Kirtan group used to do Kirtan everywhere. And they had like competitions. And his group used to win all the time because they were so talented. And they used to sing all the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, but in the Oriya style. Like you would sing Sri Guru Charana Padma in the Bengali style, Sri Guru Charana Padma. But in the Oriya style, it's a little choppy. Sri Guru Charana Padma, like that, dun, 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 dun. So like this, it had a little kind of choppy style to it. And so Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, used to sing like this. So from a very early age, he was hearing the kirtans of Narottam Das Thakur, and he was worshiping the Gopal deity. There's even one story where he was running around playing with a child at the Gopal temple, and he was running around in circles around the temple, and they were laughing and joking and throwing dirt at each other and everything. And so uh, the uh, uncle came over and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And when he chastised them like that, they ran inside the temple. And so then the uncle came in the temple and he asked Gour Govinda Maharaj that you came in here with this other boy. Where is that other boy? And Gour Govinda Maharaj pointed to the altar and he said, he's there. He's there, uncle. He went there. Mama. Mama is the word you use for uncle. He's there, Mama. He's on the altar. So from a young age, he was intimate associate of Lord Krishna. And also, his father used to read Bhagavatam. There was, just like Tulsi Das translated the Ramayana from Sanskrit into Hindi and made it popular all over India, there was one Shiksha disciple of Mahaprabhu called Jagannath Das. He translated the Bhagavatam into Oriya. It's called the Bhagavat of Jagannath Das. And in every village in Orissa, you'll find a Bhagavat Stali, means a little temple to the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a small mud hut, and in the mud hut is the Bhagavatam. And every morning, someone reads from the Bhagavatam, and his father used to read from the Bhagavatam every day, so many verses, until by the end of the year, the entire Bhagavat was complete. And then he would start over again in the next year. So like this, Gour Govinda Maharaj heard the Bhagavatam every day as a child. He always used to like the Srimad Bhagavatam. He would cry and cry to his mother, and he wouldn't go to sleep until she gave him the Bhagavatam. And his mother said that he would hold the Bhagavatam in his arms, and then he would fall asleep with the Bhagavatam. Otherwise, he would not fall asleep as a small boy. So like this, he had a very auspicious childhood. When he was 16, he began preaching, giving lectures on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and teaching Bhagavad Gita to everyone. And gradually, as he made further progress, he started lecturing also on Srimad Bhagavatam. He had a brother, and at one point his father passed away just as he was going to college. And so his mother told him that he should marry. And I remember asking him about this. I said, why did you marry? You told me that you never had any inclination to get married. He said, it says in the Vedic literature that if the mother orders you to marry, you have to marry. You have to follow the order of the mother. Why are you crying? So, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj told me he married because his mother ordered him to marry. And I said, okay. And I said, but if you had no inclination to get married, then when you married, you had 7 children. Why did you have 7 children? He said, it says in the Vedas that if the wife asks you for a child, you have to give her a child. So then it dawned on me. So in other words, you only had relations with your wife to have children. He said, yes. I had 7 children and I passed semen 7 times in my life. And I realized what an exalted personality he was, that he was living with his wife in the house, and he only had relations with her to have children. He was the perfect Grihastha Brahmachari. So then, Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he graduated college with a degree in English and a minor in Sanskrit. And he, from there, he went to teach and give education in the schools. He was teaching in the government schools, and he used to teach English language. And then, gradually, as he grew more and more, he became more and more absorbed in devotional service, more absorbed in bhakti. He had no desire to continue living in the Grihastha ashram. He wanted to become a sannyasi. And so in 1973 or 74, he left his family and he started to travel around India. There's a system in India, an ancient system, that before you take sannyas, you have to visit the four major holy places: Hardwar, Dwarka, Rameshwaram, and Puri. So since he came from Puri, then he went to North India to go to Hardwar, and then he was going to go down to Dwarka and Rameshwaram and see all these places. Meanwhile, he changed his name to Gaur Gopal. From Braj Bandhu Manik, he changed his name to Gaur Gopal, and his desire was to find someone, a guru, who could teach him about Gaur, Lord Chaitanya, and Gopal. So this was why he named himself Gaur Gopal. So when he was up in Hardwar, he met many Mayavadi sannyasis, and he was not pleased with their philosophy. And so what he did was he came down to Vrindavan, and he was hoping that in Vrindavan he would find more success in meeting with people who worship Gopal and worship Mahaprabhu. So he told me that he used to go to the different places in Vrindavan. There are many places that distribute prasadam and for the sadhus, and so he would take a meal once a day at one of these temples. So one day, he was told by one of the other sadhus that the Bideshis, the foreign sadhus in Raman Reti, they give very nice prasad, very nice prasad. So you should go there and get prasadam from the foreign sadhus. So he walked all the way out to Raman Reti's far from where the main 7 temples are in the town of Vrindavan. So he walked out there to be in. He walked out there to the Raman Reti temple, and when he got there, he was taking prasadam, and they also gave him a magazine. And he looked in the magazine, and he saw that they were teaching about Lord Chaitanya, about Vrindavan Krishna, and he saw the picture of Srila Prabhupada, and he thought to himself, this is my guru. This is my guru. This is what I've been looking for. And so he went to one of the senior devotees and asked them, so can I go and, is this guru here? And he said, yes, he is here in Vrindavan. So he said, can I go and meet him? Now, Gaur Govinda Maharaj at that time, he had matted locks and he was shabby clothes and he looked like one of these wandering sadhus. Nobody understood who he really was. And so they said, no, no, you can't meet him. It's not possible. So he knew, I have to meet my guru. No one's going to stop me from meeting my guru. And so he stood nearby watching the door to Prabhupada's room and looking through the window to see when nobody was in the room and the door was open. And then he ran in, he snuck in the room, and he sat down. He told me the whole story and explained to me everything that happened. They don't tell this much in ISKCON because they don't want you to know. But I'm telling you. So then what happened was Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj came in the room and he offered obeisances to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, so what is your name? And he told him, my name is Gour Gopal. And where do you come from? And he started telling him his history. And then one of the servants came in the room and said, Prabhupada, do you want us to get rid of this person? He said, no, you go away. I'm having a conversation with you. So, like this, they started talking, and Srila Prabhupada could understand how educated he was. He had knowledge of how to speak in Oriya, Bengali, Hindi, English, and Sanskrit. So he knew 5 languages. He was very learned. So he thought this person could be very helpful to me in service. So in discussion with him, he asked him, he said, you've left your family, you've left everything, you've come here to Vrindavan, have you taken sannyas? He said, no, I haven't taken sannyas. And Prabhupada said to him, I will give you sannyas, and I will send you back to Orissa, and you will make your own disciples. So right from the beginning, he told him that this is what he wanted from him, that this was the service he was going to give him. So then Srila Prabhupada asked him if he could translate an article into Hindi. So he said, absolutely, I can do that. So Prabhupada called for one of the disciples to come in with a BTG, and he found an article, and he said, can you translate this article into Hindi? He said, yes, I can do it. So then he called the disciple in again. He said, give me a pad and a pencil and give this person a space to sit down and translate the article into the Hindi language. So they gave him a place to sit down and translate. He translated the article into Hindi and he brought it back in, and Prabhupada read the article, and Srila Prabhupada said, this is very good, excellent work. So now I'm going to send you to Bombay, and you're going to translate the articles, the books for me into Hindi, articles and books for me into Hindi in Bombay at the publishing place. We have the Indian BBT there. So Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was very happy. Then Prabhupada called in his disciples and he said, shave him up and give him dhoti and kurta and all the clothes and a place to stay here. He's going to translate my books. And so that's how he began his service to Prabhupada. And when he came to Bombay, he was amazing because he was so humble. Nobody understood who he was. When he wasn't translating books, he was always chanting japa. Just always chanting japa. Japa, japa, japa. On and on and on, chanting Hare Krishna, everywhere. I remember seeing him, and I said, well, this guy is really serious. He's chanting japa all the time. So then I saw also that he was very humble. Even though he was a very elevated scholar and very learned, he washed all the pots and stuff in the kitchen, and he did simple menial work to serve his guru. And so I didn't understand anything about who he is, but then one day I was in the room and Gargamuni was telling me how he went to speak with Srila Prabhupada, and he said, that boy in the the translation department. Prabhupada said, "Boy, what boy?" That boy, Gour Gopal. Prabhupada said, "Boy? He's not a boy. He's old enough to be your father. Why do you call him boy?" So then I understood, okay, we should give some respect to him because he's like our father. So after that, I was more respectful when I saw Govinda. So he got Harinam in Bombay after being in the movement for 2 months, and he got the name Gour Govinda. And then they decided to move the translation department from Bombay to Mayapur. So you'll see a picture on my header on Facebook of Prabhupada and Gour Govinda Maharaj on a morning walk in Mayapur. And he went to Mayapur. He was there. After a couple of months, he got Diksha. So then, after that, they sent, he was in Mayapur. There was a festival. It was a festival time in Mayapur. And I had been traveling with a group of devotees doing Sankirtan in different cities over in Bombay area. So we were doing traveling Sankirtan, we were preaching, and I had some collection from donations that I had received from preaching. So when we came to Mayapur Festival, so at that time, while we were there at the Mayapur Festival, this wealthy man, his daughter, she had land in Orissa, about an acre. And her name was Kanungo, Chubby Kanungo. And her father was Nityananda Kanungo. Nityananda Kanungo was the deputy minister of defense during the time of Nehru. And he spoke fluent Russian. So when Khrushchev came to India for a tour, he was the one who went with him because he could translate, explain everything to him in the Russian language. So he was a very prominent personality in the political world. And so they donated this land. So Prabhupada asked Gour Govinda Maharaj, I want you to go there in Bhubaneswar and develop this land. So Gour Govinda Maharaj said, can you give me some assistance? So then Prabhupada called me to come to his room, and he asked me to go there and help him. So I went to the room to help Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, to answer Prabhupada's request. And Prabhupada asked me to go there. He told me about the land, and he told me about the program in Orissa, and he wanted me to help develop the program. So I went with Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj down to Orissa with the devotees. There was about 6 or 7 of us. And Orissa at that time in 75 was very backward. They didn't speak any English, and they didn't even speak Hindi. If you didn't know Oriya, you basically didn't have any way to communicate. And they couldn't read anything but Oriya. And we had no books in Oriya. I had some books in Hindi, but nobody could read Hindi books. So they couldn't read English, they couldn't read Hindi. All the books that we came with, we couldn't distribute. No one would buy them. And we were staying in a dharamshala, and little by little, our money was disappearing. The money that I had, I was paying for, we had no place to cook, so we would get prasadam from the Vasudev temple, and we were just spending all of our money and not making any money. And it got to the point where we were going to be without any money and stranded, which is probably what I should have done. But instead of doing that, I told Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, look, we have we have no money. I can't feed anybody. I can't pay the bill for the Dharmshala. So we're going to have to leave. There's a train that I arranged to go from Calcutta to Hyderabad to bring the devotees to meet Srila Prabhupada. We're going to have to go on that train and go to Hyderabad and meet Prabhupada. So Gour Govinda Maharaj said, well, I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay here. So I said, well, you're a brahmachari. At that time, he was a brahmachari. So I said, if you were a sannyasi, you could stay here alone, but you can't stay alone here as a brahmachari. So he agreed to come with me, and we all went on that train down to Hyderabad, and then Prabhupada asked us to come and see him the next morning. So he asked me what was going on, and I explained. No one can buy any books because no one reads English, no one reads Hindi. I wasn't able to sell any books. We completely ran out of money. We had no place to stay. We had no food to eat. I didn't know what to do. The Prabhupada looked at me disappointed because he thought, I've given you a chance to do something special when your back was against the wall, to make some sacrifice, and you couldn't do it. So then Gour Govinda Maharaj explained to him, asked him if he could take sannyas. He said, I want to take sannyas so I can preach. So Srila Prabhupada looked at him and he saw that all the big GBCs were in the room. And he was concerned that it would turn into a big shouting match. So he said, you know what it means to take sannyas? He said, to take sannyas, there's three things. First, there's no sex desire. Second is that you should never feel alone. And third is that you should always know that Krishna is with you. With these three things, if you have this knowledge, then you can take sannyas. Do you understand? Gour Govinda Maharaj said, yeah, I understand. So then that was it. Then Prabhupada's prasadam came in for breakfast. Then everybody left the room. And I went in the room with the secretaries, and they were all saying, I don't understand. Prabhupada didn't tell him yes, he didn't tell him no. He just said that this is the qualification for taking sannyas. So I don't know whether he's going to take sannyas. And that's what Prabhupada wanted. He didn't want anyone to know. It was between the two of them. And so then when we went to Vrindavan, and there was a fire sacrifice, and there was initiation, Gour Govinda Maharaj's danda was there, and his clothes were there, and Prabhupada gave him sannyas, and when he gave him the danda, he said, you have understood. So it was between the two of them. It was organized in that way. And at that time, some of the senior disciples came and complained to Srila Prabhupada that why you have allowed this man to take sannyas. He's a new devotee. And Prabhupada said, no, you boys are the new devotees. And he's a devotee from birth. He's a pure devotee from birth. And you boys are the new devotees. So like this, Prabhupada chastised them. And then Gour Govinda Maharaj, he came back to Orissa and he started preaching. And then I came with the library party to Orissa and I started preaching. And I developed relationships with all these important people in the government, the Speaker of the House of Legislature in the state legislature, and the governor, and a number of different people. I started making relationships with them. So then what happened was, while I was making all these relationships and setting everything up, and big businessmen, and then going to all the schools and distributing books. So then what happened was that Srila Prabhupada came to Bhubaneswar, and at that time, first we were in Allahabad for the festival for the what is that festival in Allahabad? Kumbh Mela, for the Kumbh Mela festival. Yeah. So we were there. Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was there at that festival. And so during that festival, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj had some discussion with Srila Prabhupada. about translating the books. He told Srila Prabhupada that sometimes when he's translating the book from English into Oriya, he finds that the exact words in Oriya don't really correspond to what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say in English. He knows what Prabhupada is saying in English, but he can't find the exact words in Oriya to correspond to that. So he says, sometimes I translate it in my own words, but I don't know if you want me to do that. If you want me to translate, he said, oh yes. He said, I do that. I look at the words in Sanskrit and I see them and I see the exact words in English don't fit. So I understand what they're saying, so I translate in my own words what it is that they're trying to say. So like this, Prabhupada was very careful in giving him instruction about translating. And so then when I was with Srila Govinda Maharaj, I was with Prabhupada and Srila Govinda Maharaj there, and then he went to Bhubaneswar and I went there. So there was a mud hut. They had built a mud hut to preach in. And Prabhupada was staying in one of the rooms, and Gour Govinda Maharaj was staying in the other room with the secretaries. And then what happened was, I brought all these important people to come and see Srila Prabhupada, the Speaker of the House of Legislature, and these big manufacturers, businessmen. So all these people, they were amazed. They were asking Prabhupada that, why don't you come? Why are you living in this mud hut? I have a very nice guest house, government guest house. I have a big mansion I live in. You can come and live with me in the mansion. So Prabhupada was saying, no, this is the place that Krishna has given me. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, he also said, yes. And he never left that hut. They built a big temple and they had rooms for him. And he said, no, those are not my rooms. This is my room. This is the room that Krishna has given me, the way Prabhupada said, that this is the room that Krishna gave me. And so like this, he stayed in those rooms he stayed in that mud hut until he passed away, and then they buried him there. They put his samadhi there. And then later on, because of some problems with the government about widening the road and removing the hut, they had to transfer his body from there to another place on the property. So he's no longer there in that hut. That hut has been taken down, unfortunately. So then after that, Srila Prabhupada saw Gour Govinda Maharaj came in. He said, now you're going to leave and take all these devotees with you, but I need some people to help me here. So then Prabhupada called me in the room and he asked me, and I had just gotten a letter. I had just gotten a letter from New York Temple, and they said, we want you to come. I'm sending you a ticket. You go to New York and you be the Bhakti trainer leader. You be the leader for the training the Bhaktas in New York. So I was all prepared to go to New York. So Prabhupada calls me in and he says to me, I want you to come and stay here in Orissa with Gour Govinda Maharaj. So I said, but I just got this letter from New York. They invited me to come and stay in New York. No, there's too many devotees in New York. You don't need to go to New York. Stay here. So I said, but Prabhupada, I don't know that I can stay here in this place. And my health is not so good. He said, oh, this is a very healthy place. He said, I came here for my health. He said, I'm drinking the water every day. He said, I'm passing stool in the open. Everything is very nice. He stay here. Your health will get better. And I said, well, I've been so busy doing so many things. Sometimes I don't channel my rounds. Yes, but I see that you work very hard. So if you work very hard, then that happens sometimes. You can chant your rounds later. So like this, Prabhupada was defeating all my arguments. He didn't want me to ignore staying there. So then I said to Prabhupada, okay, yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada nandati. So then I stayed there in Bhubaneswar with Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And so Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he was very merciful. While I lived with him, he gave me so much kind association and mercy. He used to read to me from the books, the scriptures of the Goswamis, like Jaiva Dharma, Hari Bhakti Vilas, and Radha Krishna Ganadesha Dipika. He would read to me from those books in the Sanskrit or Bengali, and then he translated into English for me. And so I would live with him and hear Hari Katha from him on a daily basis. And also, he would, I would observe him. I would see how he was. Every morning, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj would spend the whole morning doing so much service. He'd get up early in the morning, like 2, 3 in the morning, and he'd chant japa. And then he would write in his diary. And then he would recite all these prayers. He had a whole bunch of prayers that he had to recite. And then he would do translation work in Prabhupada's books. And unless he finished all the things, a certain number of rounds, a certain amount of work writing in the diary, a certain amount of translation work, all these things, the prayers, you got to recite all the prayers. If he didn't do all of his work, he wouldn't eat. That was his vow. I saw sometimes they would come with the breakfast. He said, no, I haven't finished my service to Prabhupada yet. I can't eat. And so like this, he would be very, very careful to see that everything was done very carefully. And in his association, I learned how to become more disciplined and more strict in my service to Prabhupada. And I saw that he was very humble. I went away to Bombay to do something with the BBT, and I came back. And when I came back, he was very sick. And he told me that Vaishnavadas, who's now Dandi Maharaj and lives in Puri, that Vaishnavadas had gone away while I was away, and he had to take care of the deities. And he said, I was taking care of the deities, and I allowed Krishna to get cold while I was bathing him and changing him, and I allowed him to get cold. So he gave me this cold. Krishna gave me this cold, and now I'm suffering from this cold, and I can't do anything. I just have to lay here. And I said, Maharaj, you have a fever, a cough, a cold. I said, you should take some medicine. I'll go to the doctor. I'll go to the Vaidya. No, no medicine. Only medicine for this aparat is Harinam. Just I'll lay here and chant. And he just laid there for 3 days chanting. And then everything broke. No fever, no cough, no nothing. Then he got up and he took bath and he said, Gornitai have forgiven me. Now I can be healthy again. Like this. This was his nature. So completely humble. There was a story that his wife told us that there was a big hurricane in the village. And Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj got, in India, they have these heavy carpets that they put on the floor that people can sit on. So he made his wife and kids come with him underneath the carpet. He put the carpet over everybody's head, and he stood up, and they were all sitting down, cowered together in there, and they were sitting down there, and he was standing up, and he was chanting Hare Krishna, and he chanted Hare Krishna for hours until the storm passed. And when the storm passed, they took off the carpet, and the whole village had been leveled. Everything had been leveled to the ground. Only they remained untouched, protected by his chanting. Then I was there when his eldest son came. His eldest son came to see him, and he was yelling. I heard him yelling out on the road. So I went out and I looked at him, and as soon as I saw him, I knew he looked exactly like Gour Maharaja. So I knew it was his son. So he started saying to me, "Is my father in there? Is my father in there? You tell him he has to come home right now. Tell him to leave this place and come home right now." So when I said, "Your son is out there, he's screaming. You better go talk to him." He went out there. He said, "I'm not your father anymore. Go away. Go away." Like this. So he went away, and then about a week later, his 14-year-old son showed up, Abai. And when his 14-year-old son came, Srila Govinda Maharaj, the boy was standing there, and he was saying that he wants to live in the temple. He was explaining to his father, "I want to come and live here. I want to be a brahmachari." So I said to Govinda Maharaj, "What is he saying?" Because they were talking in Ori, and I only understood part of it. He's saying that he wants to live here as a brahmachari, but that's not what he wants. He wants to live here like I'm his father and he's my son. And that's done. I'm a sannyasi now. No more. Finished. So then he told him, "Go away. Go home." And the boy, he collapsed in the doorway. He was crying like anything. So I said, "Let him stay." He said, "Who's going to take care of him?" "I'll take care of him." "Okay, you're his father now. You take care of him. That's it. Now you're his father and you take care of him." So I said, "Oh, okay, no problem." So I told the boys, "All right, go take him, give him clothes." So then all the brahmacharis took him and they got him dressed up and they gave him clothes and they took care of him. So in the beginning, he would come every day and offer obeisances to Gour Govinda Maharaj, and Gour Govinda Maharaj would ignore him. But when he saw that he was coming every morning and every evening to all the programs, chanting, doing the bhajans, doing everything, then after a month or so, then Gour Govinda Maharaj started blessing him, talking with him, because he saw that he was a real brahmachari, acting like a brahmachari. So like this, then eventually Gour Govinda Maharaj gave him Harinam, like Bhaktivinoda gave Saraswati Thakur Harinam. So like this, he made some progress in his spiritual life. And it was a very interesting experience. Also, there's another story that I wasn't there at the time. I had left. And they came to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. By this time, he was already initiating disciples. And they said, "Your wife, if you sign this document, then the pension that you're supposed to get can go to your wife and she can have some money every month to live on." So he said, "No, I'm not her husband anymore. I'm a sannyasi. I'm a dead man. I can't sign any documents." So he refused to sign. They said, "Who's going to take care of your wife?" He said, "Krishna will take care of my wife. I don't have to worry about it. I don't need to give her a pension. Krishna is going to take care of her." So shortly after that, his disciples came from Australia. and they wanted to go to Gadaigiri and see the Gopal Giri. And so when they went to Gadaigiri, one of his disciples met Gaur Govinda Maharaj's family, and he fell in love with his daughter, and he wanted to marry his daughter. And he was a very wealthy businessman from Australia. So he married his daughter, and he built a house for the family in the village, and they all lived in the house in the village. And he took the daughter back to Australia with him. And so Guru and Mara said, Krishna will take care of my family. I don't have to worry. This happened. Last story I want to tell is about Gaur Govinda Maharaj's Bob. So I was there in Bhubaneswar when Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj was invited in the room by Prabhupada, and he made everybody leave the room, and he said no one could come in the room while he was there with Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And I saw Gaur Govinda Maharaj come out of the room, and he was very effulgent. And I heard from him later that that's when Srila Prabhupada showed his Swarup to Gaur Govinda Maharaj, and he also revealed Gaur Govinda Maharaj's Swarup to him, that they're both Manjaris. So this is why all this argument and this discussion and on and on and on about he's a cowherd boy. In the eyes of some of my godbrothers, he will appear like a cowherd boy, the way Bhadranath and Vijay Kumar saw their guru differently. One saw a cowherd boy and one saw a Manjari. So he would have to be a Manjari in order to display the cowherd boy mood also. He couldn't be a cowherd boy and display the Manjari mood. He would have to be a Manjari in order to show a cowherd boy aspect. So it's very clear. Gaur Govinda Maharaj told me long before, shortly after Prabhupada left, about 7 or 8 months after he left, he told me the whole story, and he told me that Prabhupada is a gopi and that he saw Prabhupada's gopi form. So all of this is, my godbrothers who see him as a cowherd boy, it's correct for them, and that's what they see, and that's what they will understand, and that's good for them, and they should see that, and they should understand that, and they should worship Prabhupada as a cowherd boy because that's their bhav, that's their mood. But Gaur Govinda Maharaj very clearly explained the whole thing to me, and Srila Narayana Maharaj supported that, and so it's very clear that Srila Prabhupada is first and foremost a Manjari, and that his mood as a cowherd boy is something that is the vision of my godbrothers who are in that bhav, who are in that mood. So, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj was in Mayapur, and we were sitting together in the room, and he was reading, and he started just, can I have some water, please? He was reading, and I was reading. We were reading together, and then all of a sudden he started screaming. And Labudi, who had been with him, he had gone to the internment of Srila Bhakti Daitya Madhav Maharaj. This was March of '79. Srila Madhav Maharaj left this world, and he was interned in Samadhi in Mayapur, at his temple in Mayapur. And so Gaur Govinda Maharaj attended the ceremony, and when he attended the ceremony, he collapsed. And they didn't know why he collapsed. He was starting to have ecstatic symptoms. And so in the room with me, he was looking at the book, and he was reading, and he was chanting, and then he just started to have all these ecstatic symptoms, and he started shouting and screaming, Vishnu's chakra is coming. It's very hot. Everything is burning. Look, Lord Nityananda. Look, Lord Chaitanya. Look this, look that. He was like, in very high ecstatic state. What?
So he explained this warmth, like his body was overheating?
He just said like that. Vishnu's chakra is coming. Everything is very hot. I'm feeling very hot. He said that. So what happened was, he kept jumping up and down. He kept shouting the names of different avatars. And then he collapsed on the floor and he was unconscious. So I took him to this astrologer who was very famous. He was the one who saw the picture of Prabhupada's face and said, he has a face in which he can build a house that the whole world can live in. So this astrologer was very famous. He was very famous so I brought him there. I put him on a mattress in the back of a van and I brought him there. And the guy looked at him and he said, he's in Bob. He's in ecstasy. Just leave him alone. He'll come out of it in a few days. So I thought, no one's going to believe the astrologer. So, and I went to this Vaishnava who was a homeopathic doctor at Maharaja's mother. He examined him and he said, I can't say what this is. I don't know why he's unconscious. So then I brought him back to the temple in Mayapur. And in the temple in Mayapur, I had the Ayurvedic doctor who treated Prabhupada in Vrindavan come in and examine. And so he examined him and he said, this is nervous exhaustion. He had a nervous breakdown. So then this one devotee convinced him. He said, look, when you go into Bhav, then your nervous system can become shattered. So isn't it possible that it's because of this? He said, yes, that's possible. That because he was in ecstasy, he shattered his nervous system. So then every day he started to gradually come out of, before that, I was looking at him and I was saying, okay, there's nothing definitive here that he's involved. I have to prove somehow that he's involved. So I was in the long building and I stood at the banister and I looked across at the Lotus building at Prabhupada's room and I started praying that Prabhupada, you please send someone to prove that he's involved. And while I was praying like that, I saw Srila Krishnadas Babaji coming into the temple. He was being chased by all the devotees. They were trying to touch his feet and he was jumping in the air. And he was running away from them because he didn't want anyone to touch his feet. And then when he came down a ways, I went out to greet him. And I talked to him in broken Hindi about Govinda Maharaja's condition. And I asked him if he could come and see Govinda Maharaj. And he said, okay. So as I was going up to the room, then I met Bhakti Charu and I met Sarva Bhavana. And they started talking to him in Hindi about what was going on. And then we went up to the room together. And it was like a scene, like right out of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He felt Srila Govinda Maharaj's pulse, and he examined his head and his temperature and different ways of analyzing his body. And then he took out a thread from his cloth and he put it under Govinda Maharaj's nose and saw how the breath was coming out of his nose. And then he got up and he said, Bhava, Bhava, Bhava. So then they were trying to ask him questions while he was unconscious, hoping to get some answers about the situation with the society. And he wasn't responding. Srila Krishnadas Babaji said, don't bother him now. He's in Bhav and his praying is ripening. So just let him lay there. So, like this, he was explaining the situation of Srila Govinda Maharaj position. And gradually, Gour Govinda Maharaj started coming out of it. He started coming out of it. Gradually, more and more, he was coming out of it. And as he came out of it, he started looking at his body, and he was completely confused. He was going, "What is this?" I said, "That's your hand." "My hand? Why do I have a hand?" I said, "You have a body. Your soul, the soul, has a body." He was looking at it and said, "Why do I have this body?" I said, "To live here in this world, you have to have this body." So he was completely disoriented because he had left his body, he had gone to the spiritual world, he had seen his spiritual relationship with Krishna and the gopis, and he was trying to readjust to having to be in a material body in this world in order to preach. And his disassociation from his material body, because it's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the fourth canto, 22nd chapter, verse 26 in the purport, that just like when you have an aged coconut and the nut is inside the husk and it's detached from the husk, and you can shake it and you could hear the coconut rolling around in the husk, so it's inside but it's not connected to the husk. The Prabhupada says similarly, the liberated soul is living within the material body but is not connected to it through the subtle body. He has no subtle body. The subtle body is not present. He's just directly living in the material body in his original eternal spiritual form. So then what happened was Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, I was trying to get him to explain. I took him home. We had a van, a truck there, a Jeep. And I took him home in the Jeep to the temple back in Bhubaneswar from Mayapur. So on the way down to Calcutta, I kept asking him, "So what happened, Maharaj?" He said, "I'm sick." So I said, "No, I think you were in ecstasy. You were in Bhav." No. Why do you say that?" I said, "Well, you showed so many symptoms." "No, I was just sick." I said, "Well, that's not what Krishnadas Babaji said." "Krishnadas Babaji said?" I said, "Yeah, I brought Krishnadas Babaji to see you." "You brought Krishnadas Babaji to see me?" I said, "Yeah, I brought him in the room." "What did he say?" "He said that you were in Bhav." "Oh, he's wrong." I was not in Bhav. I was sick. I'm very sick. So then I thought, he never likes to go to the doctor. No matter what I say to him, he doesn't want to go to the doctor. So I thought I'll try to convince him by telling him, I said, "Well, if you're really sick, Maharaj, then I'll take you to my Ayurvedic doctor in Calcutta." So he did this slow burn, "All right, I'm sick. I'll go to the doctor." He didn't want to admit. So then I took him to the doctor. And the doctor, this guy, he was a mystic. He used to have visions and tell people things about their future. He was not just a Vaidya, he was a bona fide mystic. So he said, when he felt his pulse, he said, yes, his nervous system has been shattered, but it's because of the ecstasy that he was in. He said, I could feel the current of his pulse indicates this. He was very good at this. So he said, I'll give him some medicine to help calm his nervous system down, and then he'll feel better. He'll recover. So he had no appetite. He didn't eat very much, but gradually he recovered. Later on, there was, just to show you the kind of determination he had. I'm going on a long time here. There's so many important stories. So later on, he was living there in Bhubaneswar, and they used to bring milk every night. And the devotees would drink milk. There was a cowherd village across the street, and so they would drink milk. So one of my godbrothers was out trying to collect donations, life membership. He came home at night, and there was no milk left. So everyone was drinking milk, and all of his disciples were there drinking milk. So he said, "Where's my milk?" His godbrother, "Where's my milk?" So he said, "Well, we don't have any milk. It's all gone." He points at Gour Govinda. He said, "He has milk. Why does he get milk and I can't get milk?" So Gour Govinda said, "Okay. From now on, I'm not drinking milk." And he never drank milk again. And because of this, he got a calcium deficiency and he got a bone disease. And he got really sick, and they had to take him to the hospital and do the surgery. So when they did the surgery, they put him under anesthesia. But they all know, because all of them Orissan doctors came from villages in Orissa, and so they know what the Jagannath Bhagavat is like. They heard it recited every day in their village. And so while he was under anesthesia, he recited the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in Oriya. And so they all recognized it. They understood that he was. So this is the proof that he's not. There's no subtle body there. The soul is directly living in the physical body, and is fully conscious and fully aware. And the anesthesia has no effect whatsoever. No effect whatsoever. And they perform the whole surgery without a problem. So there are people who they become conscious during surgery and they feel the pain. And he didn't feel anything. He was completely transcendent to the pain. So there's many, many stories I can go on and on, but it's already 10 of 1. So it's time to do Pushpanjali. Or what about you, Sadhana? Do you want to tell something about your association with Gour Govinda? Okay. All right. So I think now we should do the Pushpanjali. We should do the All right. Thank you very much, everyone out in Facebook land who heard the lecture today. I'm ending at 1 hour and 8 minutes. Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaja ki. Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaja ki. Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaja ki. Go Premanande.